Play.
Hello, guys. Welcome to the next ATP Weekly. This is going to be a bit weird because we don't have the usual sort of finals talk, right? Chengdu and Zhuhai will finish on Tuesday. I think by the time we're going to be finishing this episode, they're actually going to start their semifinals, but we'll figure it out. There's also the Laver Cup to talk about, which is in the title as well. What is the Laver Cup? So I guess this is maybe where we'll start. So, Mario, how much of Laver Cup 2023 did you actually watch?
Uh, yeah, I'm going to be honest, but for a lot of different reasons. This is, I think, just the second Lever Cup I actually watch. But
Okay.
because last year I was in Parma WTA doing the coverage, and with the London time zone was really difficult. This year it basically was that Vancouver, the actual ATP tournament, was another time zone in China. So I was free to watch, and I watched a bit of the competition. Of course, it hasn't been a close one, so it's been not very interesting till the last stage of the tournament, and that hasn't helped. All the I feel that this year they needed that kind of close competition, because everyone was talking about the Lever Cup without Roger Federer, for example, without on the court. I mean, without any of the let's say super big players, because even in 2021, without the big three. But still, there was, Medvedev, which was the latest Grand Slam champion. So this was kind of the first edition without any, I don't know how to call, because they are all, let's say, top players in terms that they are, let's say, the top of the game, but not with that character, which was capitalizing all the the media attention, and also not only the hardcore tennis fans, but also let's say the casual fans attention. And the scoreline in terms of the points earned by each team hasn't helped that, because let's imagine a super close competition with a Sunday with the uncertain result. It would have been still good, because there would have been the interest in watch let's say a deciding match and all these things. Even the score of the matches hasn't really been great, because there's been only one deciding tiebreak and in doubles. So there hasn't been drama at all, and that's what made the competition not that good this year. I think that the biggest issue was in the Team Europe, because I think that the Team World was well organized, good players, players that can play good and fun. The Team Europe seemed like uh, let's say a bit of a mess, and in fact it's basically been like that even in the scoreboard. I think that the team world was the favorite before the competition, probably not as heavy as it has been, but I think that it's difficult to talk, even because there hasn't been any kind of drama in terms of knowing who would have won the Laver Cup. It was pretty clear. I don't want to say day one, because 4-0 it's nothing given how the competition goes in day 2 and 3. But the second day basically killed the competition.
Yeah, sort of. I agree with you that if it went to like a deciding match, I probably would have watched it. Or actually it would have been very late at night, but if I was up, I would have watched it. But as it stood, I did not catch a single point of the Laver Cup this year, which was definitely a first for me when it comes to this competition. But it's not like I was often watching it all that much. Like in 2022, I think I only saw the mixed,
Mhm.
um so the mix, Jesus, the doubles of Federer and Nadal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I mentioned. That's what I meant. The doubles of Federer and Nadal. In previous years, I think I was watching quite a lot, especially Federer singles matches. The ones against Query, Isner, Kyrgios, whoever he played. I think it was really the only three opponents that he played in singles in Laver Cup: Isner, Query, and Kyrgios. But anyway, yeah, this year I just knew instantly that if Fields Shelton doesn't convince me to watch, then probably nothing will, unless there's like a deciding rubber. Yeah. And obviously, you're right that on the first day it doesn't really matter. That's why you sort of throw in these lesser single players of yours because everyone has to play one singles. It used to be a big talking point with Jack Sock because he was there for the doubles, but he still had to play one singles. So they would always put him in singles on the first day since it's just 1 point. And here, obviously, the same thing happened. They put their strongest players on day 2 and day 3 playing singles. Both teams did. Obviously, on day 3, we actually did not get any singles match, which is a shame for the spectators who bought the tickets for sure, because even though they gave them the exhibition doubles match between Eubanks Raonic and someone from Team Europe, that's not really what they came for naturally. I read something on Twitter, like when someone said that maybe more doubles would be interesting in this event, and I kind of agree with this because I think this is what people come for Laver Cup. Like I think some of the best stories of the last few years were obviously Federer and Nadal. It was a retirement party, and that's sort of a different deal. But even earlier, some pairings like Federer Djokovic or Federer Nadal, right in 2017, playing doubles together. These were the biggest stories of Laver Cup, and I think maybe next year if we can get, let's say, an Alcaraz Rune doubles team, which would be a huge throwback to when they played doubles, a few times in juniors. That would be a story that could potentially really just grab the attention of the tennis world in a completely different way than it happened here. Like just looking at the lineups that we had, some anything that really interests me. I guess I could potentially watch, Auger Aliassime Shelton playing doubles or Hurkacz Monfils. I think the doubles here are a lot more interesting than the singles a lot of the time, just because you wouldn't usually get these player combinations on the tour. You wouldn't usually even get all four of these guys in a doubles match in a doubles tournament. So I think that maybe is a solution of sorts, maybe to try two doubles, two singles or something. Definitely it would help if the teams were more even, but as you said, that's not really the fault of anyone here. It's just the fact that Team Europe had a few withdrawals. Alcaraz didn't play, Medvedev didn't want to play, so if they can get these guys to be there, maybe Team Europe becomes too strong again. Who knows? But at least it would be more competitive. And yeah, let's talk about this discussion that Felix Auger-Aliassime and Gael Monfils had, right, during their match, and sort of they were well, they had different ideas as to how the Laver Cup should be like presented, as to how they should compete in it. Felix was basically treating it as like a very serious ATP event, official stuff, whereas Monfils was having fun. And I think, personally, I think that Gael had a good point with the fact that he is ranked what 140 or something like that. Well, 140, I guess. I guess he was here like maybe on the PR even. That's how they announced it at some point. But he was basically there because of his personality, because of his on court persona, because of the fact that he is an entertainer, and not really because he's the best singles player that Laver Cup has to offer at this point. I mean, Team Europe has to offer at this point in time. So I think he had a point with it. Yeah, what's your take on it?
Okay, no, let's say that I haven't watched it live because it was too late for me. But let's say that I have to make two different thoughts, because there's my personal taste and the taste of the general public and the fans, because if it's that more of an exhibition, in total honesty, I'm not watching it, because it's just my personality. I don't like that kind of
Mm-hmm.
tennis. Um, uh, but I can get what he says. That's what I mean. Let's just say that I know why Felix took that super seriously. He's having a bad year. He's playing in front of let's say the Canadian fans in Vancouver. He wants to do well, to try to gain some energy and maybe also momentum going forward in the season. Let's say something like that. I can understand that uh, this is still an invitational event, let's say this, and if Monfils has been called, he has been called to be Gael Monfils. And so if you are not okay with it, it's I don't know, it's a bit weird, definitely. I know that my personal taste tends to be like, oh, I would like this to be a super serious contest, but then I also think that Monfils has the good point in the discussion, because he has been invited to play there, and he's been invited because he is a certain kind of player, a certain kind of character for tennis. Otherwise, they would have called, whoever, but not him, especially at this stage of his career, because we know that Monfils has always taken tennis super seriously. Everyone knows it, but at this stage of his career, his brand game, you have called him for that reason, in my opinion, in the competition. And so this is what you have to expect. And also, talking for Felix, you should focus on yourself and what you have to do. You can't say a lot, in my opinion, about how the other players decided to approach the game. You have to do your job. You have to approach the match in the way you prefer. And then I don't know. I think that there was not probably the case, even because some kind of exhibition stuff. I think that can help also the event, because you watched it because it's a bit of a serious contest, but also because it's a little bit different from the usual stuff you get
Yeah.
week in, week out on the tour.
Hell, I mean, I think even this discussion really helped the event because it's the biggest story to come out of the Laver Cup this year, and it actually gained a lot of publicity. Yeah, personally, well, I understand that Felix wanted to play this because, well, it's in Vancouver, right? It's a lot of money too. I think if he like really was as serious about it as if he, as he's sort of trying to convey here, he actually should have gone to Chengdu or Zhuhai. I mean, you're struggling for form. Is the
Yeah,
Laver Cup really what you need right now? I mean, I get that he wanted to play it. It's in Vancouver. That's fine. But yeah, just if you decided to play this sort of event, if you're playing Galman Feast, who clearly is not there to, compete at the highest level, let's say possible. Yeah, you should be fine with it. Like you shouldn't really throw a fit like this to me. But well, yeah, anyway, I think there's also the sort of question of the fact that Monfils was basically the only player who was invited there for that reason, right? He was definitely by far the lowest ranked. Also, you had Arthur Fils, but he is very young, and that's why he was invited. Davidovich Fokina, I think, still is. It wasn't. I mean, even though he is very entertaining, I think he was still like had a stronger sport sort of level quality case than Monfils. So it is a bit of a two-sided argument, definitely. And I do agree with you. I also like the serious contest in it. I wouldn't watch it if it was just all fun and games. However, I think one of the other problems with the Laver Cup here is that basically someone in my comments on Twitter compared this to Davis Cup because there's also no points right now. Like, what's the difference? And for me, there's a really huge one in the sense that the players in Davis Cup, they actually compete for their country, a federation that probably gave them a lot of funding, a country, for sort of for the people that they feel some connection to. Whereas when you have made up teams like Team World or Team Europe, does anyone really care which team wins? I mean, I cannot really imagine thinking, oh my God, I really want Team Europe to win because I'm European. Uh, Back in the day, well, basically, if you are watching this as a fan of a singular player, I definitely, I mean, you're gonna want that player to win. Are you gonna want Team Europe or rest or Team World to win because your favorite player is on that team? I'm not really sure. Like when watching the first few Laver Cups, mostly, as I said, mostly just watching the Federer matches. I was like, well, I definitely wanted him to win his singles matches. He did win all six of them. He lost some doubles for sure, but did I really care if Team Europe won? I don't think so. And this is something that really cannot. I cannot imagine someone like
Yeah.
really being on their toes and thinking, "Oh my God, I hope
Yeah,
rest of the
exactly.
world has to win because I'm from Namibia or whatever."
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it just doesn't work like that, and it's a bit of a problem for this event. That yeah, it's hard to get behind these made up teams, and the players. I think this year, at least from what I saw, from what I read. As I said, I didn't see a single point, but I saw some videos, and I also saw, yeah, just people tweeting about it, writing about it, and it seemed like the players were also not all that invested this year compared to the previous ones. We didn't get any like huge moments in terms of the coaching, right? Because the last few years we had some videos where I don't know, Djokovic comes in, coaches Murray to beat the Minor. Djokovic, I don't know, Federer coaches Djokovic or something like that. Obviously, that's also because the Big Four was there. That's why these moments were like pointed out. But I think they weren't really all that invested in it. It definitely would be awkward, as Sean says, for the guy who didn't try, and it's fine that they do. I definitely like it this way, that they compete hard. They yeah, they want to win this, but as a spectator, it's very hard for me to get behind any of the teams because I just do not care if rest of the world or Team Europe wins.
Yeah, let's say I can say my experience as let's say a tennis fan. I started, for example, supporting the rest of the world because I prefer the singles players involved in during the first day, from the rest of the world. But then as the competition progressed, I started, let's say, cheering for the
Hmm.
Europe because I wanted a more even competition. So I was going from one side to another just because the players involved, the matchup, or let's just say the score, because at some point it became, let's hope Europe snatches a win, so the competition lasts a little bit longer. I don't think that there can really be, let's say, a serious common sense of, because team rest of the world, team Europe, I struggle to find some kind of connection. And since I live in Europe, I feel that we team Europe need to win. I really don't.
Okay.
It's really difficult. For me, so I don't know. It's a bit of an issue, but I think that um, that's been the biggest difference, in my opinion, between the team World and the team Europe. That the team World felt like a kind of a team, because, let's say, some players that were also involved in some past editions, and also yeah, let's say that it felt like they were caring about each other. There was a team, not that Team Europe. It was good for some content for some fans, but it didn't feel like a team. Also, the coaching staff, Team Ward was all of them was there. Trying to give some advice, also some gestures that were making for each other. For example, between Cerundolo and Shelton at some point during their singles matches. There was the feeling that they were a team. Team Europe was, was a mess. It was a total mess. The Team Europe. Let's be honest on this.
And that's probably because of the sort of personalities that they got there, right? I mean,
Mm.
Rublev, Ruud, Hurkacz, all of these guys are like, very kind, very nice, but also introverted mostly, I guess. Rublev maybe not so much, but still, he is like a humble, sort of just low key kind of guy. And I think all of them sort of maybe just aren't that amazing at this format. Whereas, yeah, someone like Shelton obviously is like born for it. But yeah, I just think that the Laver Cup really needs Alcaraz next year probably. They're gonna have to pay him like insane amount of money, but I think that's something that would really elevate this competition in the post Big Four era. Maybe they can get Nadal or Djokovic. I don't know. Nadal is
Well,
probably not going
let's
to be
say
playing
that
anymore, but
next Lever Cup is in Europe, so uh, it's probably a little bit easier. Let's just say that
yeah,
the Lever Cup in Vancouver, while the tour is in China, it's not that easy. Also, for even if they pay you, you can have some doubts about the schedule. If it's going to be in Berlin. Um,
is that
Probably it
easier
can
for
be
China? Is that easier for China though? It's
not for
easier to get
China,
to
but
from Davis Cup, but
no, it's
yeah.
it's not easier for China. But yeah, let's say that as a player who can prepare the Chinese swing, for example, in Monte Carlo or in Spain, or it's easier to have them as a stop to then go to to China to play Shanghai or whatever. At least for the European players. That's what I am thinking about. Probably, let's say that if they want to try to get Djokovic in the team in Vancouver, a bit impossible to think about Djokovic going to Vancouver to play the Lever Cup, in my opinion. Berlin can feel like it may be a chance. I don't know if I'm right about this, but it can be for the European players a little bit easier to think about that, to make a schedule going also to China.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Djokovic, so far, from what I can see, he's played in Chicago and in London. So I guess not much of a. Well, he did play both in Europe in the States once. There's probably a lot more factors than that, but yeah, probably right that it could be a bit easier to get him or Alcaraz in Berlin. Also, that there's like this one premise that the Laver Cup sort of yeah they just had it at first, but then they never really delivered on it in the sense that they said that they were going to bring the Laver Cup and tennis to like parts of the world where it doesn't really have that much popularity maybe yet. And so far we've had Prague, Chicago, Geneva, Boston,
Yeah.
London, Vancouver. I guess Vancouver has a pretty big ITF and Challenger event. I guess Boston at least and Chicago they were events that there were places that usually don't host big tennis events, but otherwise, do we really think that they have managed that? Probably not. And Berlin, that's also not really what they were, at least at first, aiming for. Maybe they are afraid that they wouldn't sell tickets. Who know? Who knows? Um, well, I guess Africa. Yeah, South Africa would be interesting. I mean, they had such a large crowd in Johannesburg, right? Was it Johannesburg? No, Pretoria. What was the one where Federer and Nadal played?
Oh, I don't remember. I think it was Johannesburg, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, South Africa has definitely been a bit underused. They had a challenger a couple of years back in Potchefstroom. Now it's not there anymore. Africa in general, India, maybe that would be a good market as well to
Yeah,
hit.
but
Right
even
now,
in, I would say even in Asia it can be
yeah.
good. Like India is Asia, but I'm talking about, for
Hmm.
example,
Cape
Japan
Town,
or
by the
China.
way.
Yeah, they
Cape
have
Town
great.
was the
Okay,
yeah.
they have great crowds, and so I think that it can work also, because that edition can really be easy for the schedule of the player also. So it would be a good idea to go once there.
Yeah, sort of expand that. And I also am aware of the fact that when I say that, well, I'm more interested in like tennis with actual stakes, and that's why I don't follow the Laver Cup. I am a bit hypocritical because there are certainly certain events that are also just for the money, and I will still watch them. Like, for example, the next gen finals. But there, I feel like you have a very clear purpose. Like, there's young guys, and you're trying to showcase them to the world, which at Laver Cup also happens in a way. We had Fils, we had Shelton, we had France Serundolo, but the purpose is sort of lost in all of that. But anyway, I think maybe that's where we could yeah, Sean says that he also has a side issue of not liking the gray court color. Has it been like this in all Laver Cups so far? I think it
I
has, right?
think yes, it's kind of a brand of the event, if I
Yeah,
can remember well. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I think
definitely a
that
side issue, but that's an
I think
interesting
that
point.
the main thing is that they also have been very very unlucky with how the matchup turned out to be, uh, because let's just say that even one singles match that finishes, for example, 13-11 at the at the match tiebreak, it's still a match that you can turn on to see what's going on. And this year it's been yeah, let's say unlucky with that. So even talking about the singles match, for example, let's say that uh, mm, yeah, all the matches felt that there was a possibility. For example, if Davidovich Fokina was playing good, I felt that that match against Terundolo could have been, a close tight battle, but it hasn't been like that. But also the match between Rublev and Fritz to start the second day could have had some kind of interest, and then the first set wasn't close, and then the match slipped away in the tiebreak. And there's also been a lot of unluck from this point of view for the, let's say, the organizers, and um, regarding the interest, because sometimes it can be like the competition is not that much of interesting in terms of how the teams are composed, and a lot of other things, but at least the matching in itself can still bring some attention. This year it hasn't been like that.
Yep, and I think with that we could start talking about Chengdu and Zhuhai maybe a
Mhm.
little bit, but also let's stop for a while because I think John will probably want us to talk about this. And Liam Brody, friend of the show, has broken the top 100, so we have to give him a shout out. You had on the channel you had a talk I think
Yeah.
yesterday between John and David Samuel, the longtime coach of Liam Brody. We did not choose Liam Brody as the Jakub Bobro Player of the Week yesterday. Maybe we would have if he had beaten Konstantin Lestienne in the final. I think, since going 4-0 up there, he was definitely not the better player in that one. However, that's a fantastic achievement. That's something that he has worked for how many? 11 years, let's say. I mean, in 2012, he was
Yeah, it's great.
the world number two in juniors. He made two slam finals in singles. He won two slams in doubles. And yeah, in recent years, a steady top 100 player. He lost his first 7 finals contested, I believe. He won that first title in 2021. Now he almost got another one. He earned another one this year early on in Vilnius in February. Got 100 points there. Got 90 points for Wimbledon third round. got Biel was 100, I think, this year, so 60 points for the final there. Saint-Tropez 75 points for the final there, and eventually he managed to do it. And yeah, 93 because I believe that Albert Ramos Vignolas could have still passed him, but he lost yesterday, so
Yeah.
93 is going to be where Liam Brody enters the top 100. And now the big goal for him will be to finish at a spot that would give him the Australian Open main draw, which I think is
Yeah.
very, very likely to. In the ATP race, he's like, what, 93rd? And about 70 points ahead of number 100, which with like a lower number of protected rankings, even like 104 can get you in. So yeah, great stuff. And I think it's not really like an absurdly high peak level that he's had this year, but mostly just a combination of all the work that he's done. Well, this year, but also in the years prior. And yeah, it was pretty funny to me as well, John, that Lestienne landed just one spot and 1 point away from Brody after beating him in the Saint-Tropez final.
Yeah, watching also the result, it's been a very very consistent year because
Yeah.
one title, but also two finals, three semifinals in. Let's say it was the last six tournaments played, five
Yeah, he made
tournaments if we
three
exclude
consecutive semis in challengers, right?
semifinals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's of course great, and yeah, let's say that his level is pretty much really good, but probably you're right when you say that he doesn't probably reach that peak of a level he would probably need right now to to take some other steps around, but working hard. For example, Lestienne is another example of let's say a player that in a later stage of his career reaches his best ranking and is able to play some tournaments in the ATP Tour. Right now, his ranking got a little lower, but he's even been a top 50 player in for some weeks. So if he keeps like that, he can have his well-earned reward by playing some stuff on the ATP Tour and starting from the main draw, the Australian Open. Talking about yeah, I think I'm watching about the result he has to, let's say, defend, but I don't think that he
Tel Aviv quarters, has it already gone off? Because there
I
was there was Tel Aviv quarters that I remember. The
yeah,
ATP
but, oh
250.
yeah, you're right. But I don't right
Well,
now I
it's
haven't.
gonna go down next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously that then he didn't actually play even for a month because I think he was injured. But yeah,
Yeah, so
I think.
he
Mhm.
basically has to have another couple of solid results. Let's say like that, and he should be able to make the main draw.
Yeah, he's gonna drop that Tel Aviv quarter, but he has a big lead over let's say the number 100 spot in the ATP race, so
Hmm.
he should be fine for the Australian Open for sure. And then we'll see Vilnius, in February. That can be a huge drop, but he will have some points to gain in the clay season as well. Not really his strong suit, definitely not. And I think he was somewhat fortunate to get injured in this part of the year this year because he just normally doesn't get points there, right? So getting injured there is not that much of a hit. But maybe he can gain some next year, with just better health. Who knows? And yeah, John says that Liam was kind of hanging on from 4-0, and in tennis that rarely works. I think just the difference of creativity, it really started showing. And Lestienne also knew perfectly well that, like, with their sort of difference in temperaments, I guess, when it comes to Liam to not that he's like not, he cannot do that or something like that. I just don't think it's really his when just maybe constantly giving a good show. I think that's something that could have really got to Liam pretty easily. Anyway, Chang Duzhuhai, we as I mentioned, we are at the semifinals now. final stages of this event, which is usually do things here on the ATP Weekly. Oh, my internet, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
right now we have.
writers. Yes, definitely. They hate the fact that shoot they hate the fact that I'm not rooting for Team Europe in Laver Cup. But yeah, Chengdu Zhuhai, as I mentioned, the semifinals of these events, that's where we are, not how we
Yeah.
usually do things. They're actually about to start in Chengdu, a bit later in Zhuhai, from what I can see. But yeah, what's sort of Mario been the story of the week so far in either of these?
Uh, well, let's say that, for example, talking about the players that are still in the two draws, Kachanov is back winning some matches after a period of struggle. He I think that this is the first time he wins back-to-back matches since the French Open when he got
Yeah, he only
injured, and
played
then
one match since the French, right?
yeah, exactly.
Between the French and Chengdu. Yeah.
So, but it's been a long
Zhuhai,
part of
sorry,
the
Zhuhai.
season, given also the fact that he was back in the top 10, having good results in the slams. And yesterday's win has been really good because McDonald started the match incredibly well, and it's been good because he showed, let's say, a nice level of tennis. And also we have, let's say, the unpredictable Karatsev, which is doing very well, beating back to back Murray and Nori, not the two most informed player of the moment, but he did really well. And also I watched the match against Murray, and he totally was on fire in the last couple of sets, playing some incredible shots and defenses, looking really, really good physically also. And so let's say that, talking about Juai, he probably he enters the match against Nishioka as the favorite at this point, even if Nishioka this part of the season is usually good for him. Even last year he got the title in Seoul in this in these weeks of the last year, playing really good. I would say that they're turning out to be some interesting events in this later stages, even if the let's say that the draw overall wasn't that high of a level for both tournaments in terms of the lower ranked players involved. They haven't really been able to create some kind of damage and upsets.
Yeah.
But overall, right now, the matches seems like they are a bit interesting, also because it's good to try to know something about these players also going forward in the last part of the season, with the last main events that we got to we are left to see.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely have to say that I have not been all that invested in Chengdu and Zhuhai. This was a very good week for the challengers, I think, because
Mm-hmm.
Laver Cup sucked. Chengdu and Zhuhai are like okay-ish. And yeah, I agree with you that the lower ranked players just did not do that much damage, and we're sort of stuck at like with the usual suspects, which could be interesting for some. For me, not so much. But yeah, I agree that Kachanov, Korda, these guys getting some,
Yeah,
at least some rhythm back. We'll see if some form really, but at least some rhythm back. Kachanov, yeah, just one match between Chengdu and Zhuhai and the French Open, losing to Mo at the US Open. Korda, of course, yeah, at some point everyone thought that he was gonna break like top 15, top 10 this year. That's not happening, but that's a pretty huge semi in Zhuhai, Kachanov, Korda. Aslan Karatsev, yeah, if he can get to the final, that's always something that we are going to be looking at as potential. Someone who can actually win that final too, and has such a stupendous big level. And also Zverev Dimitrov. That's a semi in Chengdu that I really think could be great, just because of
yeah,
how well they played at the first two sets of the U.S. Open, right?
yeah,
That they've already faced three times this year, so it's pretty insane that they're gonna play again. And I am worried that this match could be like one of their first two meetings, right?
Mhm.
But so far she managed Jesus, I looked at Nurlan's comment, and that's why I went to a she, because he's asking about WTA. This sorry Nurlan, but the ATP, the WTA weekly, I think was yesterday with Nick and Miles.
We don't
And
want to steal them the job.
exactly, yeah. But also the answer to your question is no.
No, no, no. I agree. No.
And the other thing is what I was talking about. Oh, okay, it's Zverev Dimitrov. Yeah, I think that one could be really enjoyable today, or it could suck just like it did at Roland Garros.
Yeah, let's say that's a storyline every time that Dimitrov is in a semifinal. The storyline is the fact that he is titleless since the ATP finals in 2017. So let's see if this week can be good for him also, since on the WTA side, Sakkari won her second title, the first since 2019. Who knows if Dimitrov can try to do the same and break this curse for him. He's in a semi, the Zverev task is difficult, but also we have to say that Zverev is not looking unbeatable this week. The first couple of matches, at least in the start, he's been at times a little bit shaky, even if he's serving really well. And that has to be said. Yesterday, his serve was very good. And this is, usually a thing that tells you a lot about his state of confidence and his tennis level overall. When the serve works well, usually for Zverev is, it helps him a lot also because of his, let's say, his defensive game style, the fact that he has to work a little bit too much, in my opinion, for to get a lot of points. In talking about his, the way he is physically, also with his backhand, I feel that he can play a lot more offensive game. But let's say this is maybe just my opinion. No, every time I watch him, I have this kind of feeling. Let's say usually some Zverev Dimitrov matches have been great. I'm thinking also, for example, Bercy in 2021. I remember very well because I was there. Other not so much, but yeah, let's say how it's going to go.
Yeah, I do not remember any other Zverev Dimitrov match, honestly, besides this year. So, but I know they've played a lot of times, but just never really, I guess, that memorable. But yeah, if you were live, if you were there live, I understand that this was pretty, much bigger, and that you have better recollection of it. Also, yeah, Nurlan, thank you for noting that it's the left-handed Wang, because yeah, I really often mix them up. Xeniu and Xiu, that's just insane that they only have one letter between each other. And there's also Qiang Wang, but at least she is much older, and
Yeah.
it's easier to know which one we're
Yeah, I
talking
remember
about.
that match between Zverev and Dimitrov because
Mm-hmm.
it was the same day, and I was there too that night of that infamous match between Gaston and Alcaraz,
Oh yeah,
2021.
that one I remember. Yes.
And I remember super super well because being live, it was also
Yeah.
the atmosphere. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot forget that match.
Yeah, I do envy that. I mean,
Even
I am
if tennis
definitely
tennis
jealous.
wise was probably horrible.
I mean, some of the defense from Gaston was
Yeah,
insane,
no,
but yeah.
that's right. But it was pretty much Alcaraz going a little bit in confusion. Also till the end. I mean, wasn't the best level wise possible, but it was great for the atmosphere.
Yeah,
Great, or for some fans maybe not so much, because it depends on how you judge a crowd.
yeah.
um,
It was definitely a bit too football-like for my taste, I would say. Although I'm not also one of these guys who are gonna say that if the crowd is loud in tennis, it's not good. I mean, I just like respect for both players. I
Mm.
guess you can be loud, but you don't have to. It's so posh,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, I mean, I just think you can be loud, but just respect both players. The other
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
hits a nice
exactly.
shot. There's a double fault. You don't clap after that. I once scolded
Clap.
Jerzy
It
Janovich's
was.
family.
I can assure you that it wasn't a clap
Yeah, yeah,
when Alcaraz was
I
double
know. Yeah.
faulting.
I once scolded Jerzy Janovich's family, the challenger, because he played Thiago Seyboth and the Brazilian double faulted, I think, twice in a row, and Janovic went up love 40 on return, and they just started clapping. And part of Janovic's family is the former WTA number 30, Marta Domachowska. So I was like, what the hell are you doing? I mean, you play tennis. What the heck? And also, his father was probably the loudest there. Uh, no barking between serves, yes. And also, I have to say that if we did that, if we really took over WTA Weekly, I thought that the rebranding should be called Super Mario Bros. That's all I wanted to say on the topic. Uh, Although I don't know if any of us look like plumbers. Anyway, is there anything else that we really need to cover? This might be a bit of a shorter ATP Weekly episode, but there's also I guess little less conversation topics than usual. A little
Yeah, I mean,
fewer.
even because there's a lot of uncertainty on the form of the top players. Next week we are going to watch almost them all in Beijing.
Ah,
Uh,
okay. I thought Nurlan wanted us to talk about Felix Auger-Aliassime, but he wants to talk about Felix Mischker. Yesterday, if you guys want to check it out, Felix Mischker released that video about
yeah,
the first ATP point. I thought, especially in the first few minutes, there were a few funny moments. Like him at 5 years old or something like that, and like a lot of good story there, and also him saying that after that first match that he played for the point against Johannes Hartais, he really struggled, which is true. You're a native speaker and you confuse less and fewer. Um, anyway, you're not a native speaker, I guess. That's
yeah,
what you meant,
probably.
right? Yeah, I confuse less and fewer all the time, but I think I also do it in Polish. It's sometimes hard. But anyway, there are a few other things that I definitely confuse in Polish as well. Can we talk about Felix once again? Yeah, that match against Johannes Hartas, and also him saying that after that he was in really big trouble. I think, by the way, that Johannes Hartas sold the set in that match. But that's something that cannot really be proven. Anyway, Felix Mischker, of course, played. Who was it? Matteo Fondriest, I think, an Italian. Surely you're very familiar with him. Probably not, because
No,
no
in
one
total
really
honesty,
is.
not.
But even Felix says it, that it was a perfect draw because he got another qualifier,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he beat him. Unfortunately, there's no actual footage of the match. There's just the match point in this video, which I'm not. I was a bit disappointed with. There's only the last rally, really.
Mhm.
I think is that already his singles rank, or is this his doubles rank on the screen? By the way,
Doubles rank.
yeah,
Yes.
doubles, because I think ITF points, generally speaking, they come in after 2 weeks. Are they already there? No, because we haven't had the update of the rankings, right? It's gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah,
like one
exactly. I
in one
think
or
that
two
it's going to
days.
be on
Yeah, one or
Wednesday
two
at
days.
this point.
Yeah, yeah. I think on Wednesday Felix Mischker will be ranked officially, but yeah, he's gonna be ranked. Only the match point, as I said, against Fondrist, and that's a bit of a shame. Also,
Mhm.
I thought his reaction was gonna be a bit bigger, but I guess the fact that Fondrist, missed a smash for it probably made it a bit difficult. But
Yeah, yeah.
if you guys want to watch it, there's a lot of highlights from his match against Andres Martin, the Georgia Tech college player
Mm.
who beat Kokinakis in Atlanta last year. So also, Andres Martin, after this match against Mischker, he actually lost in the quarters of that event. But this week, he won his first ITF Pro title. So, clearly a competitive quality player. And Felix Mischker actually played a nice match against him. So, let's see how many more points he can amass. And I think that's something that we've been saying, basically, that with time, if he plays enough ITF events, he's going to get an easy draw somewhere. And he did. And that's probably
Yeah,
the on the screen the footage of the match point, right?
yeah,
Is
very
it?
very nice
Is
story.
Fondri's gonna miss his match? Yeah, he is. He has missed one. Okay.
One of the
Um.
highlights of the ITF tour of the season.
Yeah, definitely, and it's so great that he has managed to build this sort of community, and
Yeah, no, exactly.
and yeah, so many people rooting for him to get that ATP point. I think it's a good example of sort of building your brand, despite like not actually being that excellent in tennis. Like the guy is not going to be a superstar, right? But he has improved so much. But while doing that, it's definitely given him a lot of motivation. I don't know if he would have kept going, right? I mean, without the videos, without the
Yeah,
YouTube, without
probably.
the community. Also, yeah, so basically that's a fantastic achievement, and kudos to him. Anything else?
Uh, Anything else?
Yeah, Nurlan, maybe any
I
other
don't know.
Felix that you
Yeah,
want us to
if you.
mention? Felix Corwin, Felix Baumgartner, right? The guy who jumped off like 38 kilometers or
Yeah.
something. Joao Felix.
Joao.
Yeah, at first I just wanted to start talking about tennis players, but after Felix Corwin and Felix Aurelia Sim and Felix Mischker, I sort of run out of it. So I
Yeah,
mean,
I know
there's
that.
probably someone else, but I
I know
just
that John is happy because Chelsea is flopping.
um Felix the cat. I don't know. Is he the one like from? I know. I don't think I know the cartoon.
No,
I
I
think
don't know it.
there's cat food in Poland, which is like marketed with some sort of cat, Felix the cat, but I don't know if it's this Felix the
Mhm.
cat actually. Probably not. Yeah, John might be happy about Chelsea, but maybe not about United. So can we talk about
Uh,
how much Joaquina moans again? That's for the WTA Weekly, but yeah, obviously she was wrong with this performance by thing. I mean, it was said on the detail sheet. It's not something that
yeah,
the
exactly.
WTA came up with at the very last minute. So yeah, I think the fact that
And
she had to
and
play
she
her first
withdrew.
round, yeah, maybe she withdrew, and she said that was because of her health and her injury.
Mhm.
And actually, maybe that's also part of the reason why she was so angry, because basically she wanted to be 100% by the time she was playing her first match, and because she's
Yeah,
playing in the opening round, she has to be there like what 2 days earlier. So maybe that's also why it hurt her so much.
yeah.
But
By the
yeah,
way,
she
I
wasn't
don't
right
like
in
the. I
this
don't
case.
particularly like the buy system. I mean, especially for example in the 500 level, the draws are pretty stacked. For me, you can
Yeah,
do just a 32 player draw, and
I agree, but you know why it's there, right? I mean, they just want the top guys to play, or top girls in this case, and yeah, they think that
Mhm.
they're going to convince them by the fact that they will have one much less, which is probably the case, right? I mean, a lot of the time, it is an argument that players can use in their scheduling that
Yeah,
they're going to have one much less. So I don't know. I think there are definitely downsides to it. And yeah, you're right that the WTA 500 draws have been so incredible that yeah, just doing 32 there, I don't think it would really be
yeah,
that much
exactly.
of a factor. I think most top players would still play it, but yeah, if you're like Iga Świątek and you're thinking what to play, having a buy is probably an argument, right? Like it is something that could convince you to come to an event. I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
think she would be
same
playing
thing,
Ningbo, but
same thing, but
otherwise,
with the, let's say, the performance buy, which I
yeah,
see this as um, a prize for the players that went to play the Guadalajara 1000 events, went far there, and so they have the needed time to travel, because before
yeah.
Sakari before Tuesday is not going to be in Tokyo. So imagine if she has to play the match on Tuesday, and it's basically impossible. Then again, Sakari was number 4 anyway, so it could have had the buy. I don't know, but
Yeah, but for that, there's another solution, right? Just schedule your tour
Yeah, no,
better. Yeah.
this of course, even because
And then you don't need performance buys because then
it's
everyone
been,
can get to events in
yeah, of course,
time.
it's been
And there's like no
one
big events after. Yeah.
1,000 event with two top players, two
Yeah.
top 10 players. Sorry, that's what I was meaning. Jabber number one and Sakari number two.
Yeah,
So
Sakari's. I think from what I read, Sakari's like the average ranking of her opposition was 103, which is pretty crazy. I mean, I still think it was a strong performance. You know, she beat Garcia, she beat Georgie, who should be very dangerous in these conditions, and she just overpowered them. But still,
yeah, because then she beat quarterfinal and final two players ranked outside the top 100.
yeah.
Because Arango the quarterfinal and Dolide in the final. But still, for her is huge because, given the pressure of winning that second title, it can be even heavier if you enter the match as the heavy favorite. So
No. I agree. I mean, she absolutely needed to win this one, and she delivered. Like this would have been a huge mental hit, but yeah, I also get that it wasn't the strongest path, and yeah, it just shouldn't be scheduled like this. That's
yeah,
basically the
exactly.
only
Even
argument.
because
And
that tournament is really great, and
yeah,
I felt
absolutely.
I felt for
Then
that.
you don't need any performance buys if you schedule this
Yeah,
normally.
exactly.
So yeah. Anyway, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah,
Definitely for another show.
yeah, exactly. Just to highlight how the ATP. There's not much to talk about this week. Um,
Yeah. So basically, we have extended the show to almost an hour, which I think is going to be a nice moment to end it. However, John has, oh no, John has just returned. So, oh, sorry, our producer will probably close this out. And yeah, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Mario. And
thank you
yeah,
as
let's see.
always.
We'll see you probably on another ATP Weekly or just some other thing on Talking Tennis. And also remember, Jakub Bobro Player of the Week, Caroline Dolheid, the third recipient of this award. One of them was Jakub Menschik, one of them Jesper de
Mhm.
Jong. So the first female um, winner. Yeah,
Winner
yeah.
or
I was looking.
awarded player.
Yeah, I was looking for some better word, but I actually already used recipient, and then I just had to come back to
Yeah,
winner.
yeah. Well,
Anyway, yeah. Thank you.
bye everyone.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.